Morning for 10 minutes of morning calm. And today what we're going to be taking a look at is we're going to be taking a look at this idea of limited agency. And it's interesting, right? Because we live in a culture that constantly feels like the right answer always is you have unlimited agency, you are 100% in control of every single thing in your life 100% of the time. And that is just not true. That's sort of the prosperity gospel approach, that kind of, if you just do church right or religion right or whatever, right, fill in the blank, you can just have all this and all everything will just kind of, your whole life will all be, together and 100%, 100% of 100% of everything, and it's just not how it works. Like, our agency in this world is much more limited, and we end up with these little pockets of agency, these little tiny pockets of it. And this is a place where we can look at how our minds are designed to work and really focus on those moments. And this is a piece from the book Secrets of Heaven. It says that we have these three different planes. Intuitive truth is on the inner plane, rational truth on the intermediate, and factual is on the outer plane. And here it's talking again about this journey of Abram and him getting an heir and all these big kind of biblical concepts. But it's this idea of things being born, and we have to see our mind is, yeah, we do have this intuitive part, this sense part that's just like, oh yeah, that doesn't pass the smell test, or maybe it does. It's just this sense of the direction we can move. And then there's this rational part, and then there's this factual part, just the facts, ma'am. And it's very similar to something we read last week. Again, this idea of planes and that they all kind of work together. And that's where we really have to focus our mindsets is really kind of look at, okay, what's the intuitive, rational, factual? What's intuitive, rational, factual? And to keep coming through all three of those lenses at the same time, aligning them so we can look through all three of them at one time. And that's where we might be able to spot those places where we truly do have limited agency. And it's not limited agency that's a bad thing, not at all. It's this basis that each one of us has a unique gift, a unique thing that God gave you and is calling you to bring forth into the world. And it's not the whole thing, except for maybe a handful of people at the big picture. I don't know. But I feel for most of us, we get this little tiny point, and this is our little tiny limited agency. And our job is to move into that as effectively and generously and lovingly as we can. Because those our agency will get limited all sorts of ways. A couple notes I was making just thinking about it this morning. I was thinking, that time limits it. In other words, like, we don't have the time to do all things. There's just an alignment around time. Another one was thinking our talents. Our talents are limited in a sense. Yeah, and again, I don't mean to say it's really bad. It's like you may have a limited talent of being the world's best violinist. That's a pretty cool limited talent. Live into that. So time and our talent, and then life circumstances. Life circumstances may be such that we can't do all things. We can't control things. But let's come in and really focus on what we can control. I know for me, I think my parents, I think the world of my parents, they've done a wonderful job aging. And my dad's 95. He's clearly dealing with limited agency. It's not going to be helpful for him to be like, oh, yeah, you'll be right back on track tomorrow, running laps around the track. It's not what's going to happen. It's much better to talk about, yeah, you're right, Dad. This is a struggle. You're 95. I get it. And this is life right now. That kind of approach, folks, aligns that intuitive, rational, factual. Like, here's the facts. This is what we know. Rational, how do we pull all this? And then the intuitive, where are we being called to act? Given those facts, given the different things we have to balance, what can we do? So friends, the takeaway is really simple: is look at limited agency and look at it as a gift. Look at it as a gift. And please, sounds horrible. I'm going to be Chuck Bossy Pants here. Please don't tell people, like, you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything you want to do in the world. It's just not true. I mean, I think there's times, most of my life was in education. There are times to say that to people, and it's very important for them to hear it, especially those people who tend to limit their agency too much. But be super careful of it, because because we're setting people up to this idea that you have limitless aging, you do everything, and then when they discover they can't, it's pretty darn disappointing, when the reality is it should actually be enlivening. Hope that makes sense. Take care, my friends. Yes, Lewis. Did it work?